Weapons is very unique horror. As a horror fan, I had a blast with this movie. With that being said, I do have some trepidations about it. I think I like that this movie is getting a lot of hype. I enjoyed the fact that Weapons is getting its praises, and I really enjoyed Barbarian that came out before it. Zach Cregger is such an inventive director. I love his style to horror, his approach to dread. I think he does a great job at setting up tension in a world where characters are interesting, but you don't always know everything about them right away. So as the movie unfolds and progresses, you start to learn more things about it, and I think that Weapons follows a similar approach. The concept and premise of this movie is fascinating. I love the marketing deal behind it. The marketing is what got me very intrigued. All I saw of this movie was the security cam footage of the kids running to the woods, and that was enough to sell me. I was like, this looks creepy as hell. And I gotta say, at first, as the movie begins, I was a little worried. I was a little concerned because I thought the tone and everything involved in terms of making it feel balanced felt a little off. There were times where the music didn't feel kind of in point with what was going on. Things were a little bit tonal jumpy at first. But as the movie started to settle in, I was very intrigued. I really love how Weapons is able to slowly unfold its plot and really develop us into the characters slowly as the movie progresses. I think this is an interesting approach to the film. I didn't expect this plot to unfold the way it did. I don't want to give too much away for those because I think the best way to go into a movie like Weapons is with mystery. I will say the mystery is the most fascinating part of this movie, in my opinion. I love everything in terms of the setup. I think that Julia Garner plays a great lead in our main character. She's a teacher who is dealing with the fact that her kids just suddenly up and went missing from her class, but it's only her class. Why no one else? And as the movie progresses, we start to find out why, but I thought the first half did a great job of making me question what was going on and making me actually question my POV of who could be involved and who could be in trouble. That was a great moment of tension for this movie, and that's what kind of permeates throughout the entire film until we find out what's going on. And I go back to Julia Garner. She's excellent because I think she does a great job of bringing humanity to this role, but I like that her as a teacher in this movie, the film isn't afraid to show her character be flawed as well. There are times where she's kind of dislikable, but you're wondering if that's coming from the fact that she's just dealing with them a lot emotionally. All the parents in this society and this community of people are blaming her for what happened to their kids. A lot of them are not blaming themselves for their complacency as parents, but all projecting it onto her. And that's a lot for a teacher to handle. I thought this movie had a lot to say about what teachers have to deal with when it comes to assumptions made about them. Same thing with parents. I love that Josh Brolin brings in a great co-lead in this. He's amazing as a dad who's just trying to figure out what happened to his kid as well. So you get both sides really well in terms of just the desperation. I think this movie really nails the sense of desperation with these two characters. There's other players in the story, and I found that the other characters involved, while fun to watch, that was where I think the movie kind of dipped down a bit for me personally. I found the intrigue and the mystery and the build-up very fascinating, but sometimes this movie does delegate its time to other characters that are necessary for the story. I didn't think we needed to spend half the movie with them though. And that's where I think this movie kind of comes in, is sometimes the juggle of all of its characters get in the way of really selling the tension by the end. I think the build-up is great. I think the execution of how we wind up tension and make our audience question what's going on is excellent. I find the answers a bit given. I found the mystery as it unfolded, the actual answers and the results of that I found a bit disappointing. Just because I thought the execution of how we are presented those answers felt a little just been here, done that. It felt a little bit fast in how it was approached. Not to mention after that, there's some tonal inconsistency that I didn't personally mess with. I do personally love though that it had the balls to go there. I think there's boldness in how this movie tonally shifts. Sometimes it comes across as unintentional comedy, but sometimes there's some great intentional comedy as well. I do think Zach Cregger and crew have a great sense of self-awareness. There's some jokes that happen during very intense moments. Sometimes it really made me laugh in a way that worked for the movie. Sometimes I thought it really did steal away from tension. I found Barbarian, his previous film, to be a lot better at balancing those kind of tonal juggling acts. This movie sometimes really did struggle with it, in my opinion. And I think that comes from the fact that I love the first half so much. The fact that I was so invested in what the mystery was because of the character writing that by the time I got the answers, I was like, I kind of enjoyed the fact that we were slowly unraveling, and I think it would have to do with the fact that sometimes it doesn't feel like the characters fully earn the unveiling of the mystery. Like, we see it as an audience, but I would have liked to honestly unfold the mystery alongside the characters before finding out before they do. I will say, because of the structure of how this movie plays out, at a point it does become a bit predictable in how it's going to unfold, and that was another issue I had personally with it. Not that the predictability ruined the movie. I don't mind predictability, but at a point I did catch on to what was going on in terms of the structure, and I found myself, I was like, it's one of those movies where if you're attached to one character and you're not as attached to another one, but you spend a lot of time with the other one, you're going to spend a lot of time with a character you don't like as well. By default, with all the characters this film juggles, there's going to be a least favorite by default. And for me, I did have that one, and would spend a lot of time with them without giving too much away. I think I would have less of an issue or less trepidations about the last half of this movie if I had gotten some more answers in terms of questions set up. I like that this movie sets up questions. I like that it intrigues me, but sometimes I feel like the movie thinks that's enough. When you set up some really fascinating questions that don't really get answered by the end, I think the movie just kind of decides to end where it ends. And the ending itself is very bold. Again, I was laughing a lot at the ending of this movie. Like, sometimes because of it wants me to, sometimes because I don't know if it intended to be that funny, but I really enjoyed the boldness of the tonal shift at the end. With that being said, it did kind of steal away from the tension that was going on. It didn't really answer any questions that I wanted for what was going on in terms of the main antagonist of the overall story. At least it didn't answer those questions satisfyingly. I was like, if you're gonna set up a motivation, maybe pay off on why that motivation is there, other than just the fact that it's scary and mystery. Guys, at the end of the day, I had a great time with Weapons. I do have some problems with it. It's definitely not my favorite horror movie of the year by any means, and it's not of the level that I think people are making it out to be in terms of the hype. I am glad people are enjoying it though. It didn't personally sing fully for me. I did have a lot of fun with the build-up, the tension there though, and the acting, the performances, the direction. I do love Zach Gregor's style. I can't wait to see what he does next in general. All in all, it's still a very unique voice in horror, and I'm glad this movie came out, and I'm glad it does take those swings. I would rather have a movie take swings and go crazy with its premise than just be safe. And I don't think this movie is always safe, but sometimes it does leave questions unanswered in a way that's unsatisfying, and it's unfortunate for me because I really do love this director, love Barbarian. I wanted to love this movie as well. Enjoyed it, but didn't love it. What did you guys think of Weapons? Did you enjoy it? Is it perfectly rated for you? Do you think it's a horror movie that's going to stand the test of time? Thank you so much for watching Scatterbrain Reviews. I will see you next time.